The XFL Gambling Podcast Week 5 preview and picks and DFS plays on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WynnBET. WynnBET's now live in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia. From boosted same-game parlays to live in-game odds, WynnBET is what you need to win. Bet $100, get $100 at WynnBET.com. Or download the WynnBET app and start winning today. State restrictions apply. We're also brought to you by the DGen Dance. Yes, come cut the rug with us. Our March Madness bankroll contest is back. Free to enter, and $1,000 in cash and prizes up for grabs. Plus, we've got our first half under bingo. Enter both contests on the SGPN app, which is free to download in the App Store and Google Play Store. And remember, as always, to let it ride.
This is Brock Purdy from Iowa State, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Is this or is this not the XFL? Yes, it is. Do I or do I not currently have a pulse? Yes, I do. Let's play football.
This is the XFL Gambling Podcast Week 5 preview and picks and DFS plays. Of course, we're going to give you DFS plays. And if you're wondering just who the hell you're listening to, well, my name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
I smoke and I drink and I don't have stress and I'm healthy.
Woo, wait, I almost played the wrong music. Forgot. They're coming for me.
Man. That
They're
was
coming
close.
for me. I think you got a little sample. Let's see if the computers pick it up. But welcome to the XFL Gambling Podcast. Trying to avoid lawsuits, which, you know, football's no stranger to that. If you're wondering, you know, we got a cease and desist from Men at Work, but we'll get into it. All right, I am joined by my co-host, the host of the Bottom Line Bombs podcast, which you should be subscribed to. They call him the man in the box. Give it up for CJ Sullivan.
He's the kind of guy that would drink a gallon of gasoline so he could piss in your campfire. You could drop this guy off at the Arctic Circle wearing a pair of bikini underwear without his toothbrush, and tomorrow afternoon he's going to show up at your poolside with $1 million smile and a fistful of pesos.
$1 million smile and fistful of pesos. How you doing, CJ?
Great, DJ Dundee on the iPads of steel. Thanks for spinning me another one. I told you yesterday during the reaction show what I think you should do with that cease and desist, and what my man from fucking Chipmunks told him and told Alvin and Chipmunks in Chicago to go ahead and shove it. Take the cease and desist and come down here and tell me not to fucking play this. Did I just see you online also interacting with Twitter, the news that Virginia Tech was told they can't play Enter Sandman with the teams going into
what
the stadium
the
now?
hell is that? The NCAA is going to fine them for playing.
Oh, is Lars Ulrich come? Didn't they play that live for them?
Yeah.
Like Metallica played it live for them. I mean, that's what I mean.
Thought they did. Yeah. Trying to take away all the fun. Trying to take away all the fun.
Trying to give out winners and a sing-song attitude that sticks in your head with a goddamn. I mean, sorry, Men at Work. Sorry, Men at Work, keeping you relevant.
Steven Seagal letting us go with that gasoline drop. So, shout out to a real one like Steven Seagal.
Absolutely hard to kill.
We are joined by third man in the booth, the host of the Old Fashioned Football Podcast. They call him Liquid Lunch. Yes, give it up for Justin Mark, a.k.a. J Mark. What's up, Justin?
I loved CJ's cue there as you brought him in. He pointed and you played right when he pointed. It's like he was conducting it all. It was beautiful.
But I wasn't
That's
falling for that trick
hilarious.
again where he introduces you, then he starts talking, and he hits that sound bite. Then you're competing with the Marine from Full Metal Jacket.
Guys, this is I think I'm gonna go ahead and say this. I think this is the best week of games we have thus far this season. Unfortunately, it's coming with 3 million college basketball games, and I also cover college basketball. Subscribe to the College Basketball Experience. I'm going to be trying my best. Maybe, I might have to midnight, 2 a.m. go up to the hotel room and watch a game or two taped. But I'm excited for these matchups. I'm excited to talk shit because I feel like my power rankings are a lot better than your guys. So, and I know apparently, J Mark, we got some static on our power rankings. Please let me know.
Did. Yeah, the Reddit people. I posted on Reddit after we heard Facebook's feedback. Reddit not too happy with the guy in the middle. They have named him. That would be you, Colby.
The guy in the middle.
That guy in the middle can eat a dick, and middle dude must have got mugged last time he was in Houston or something. LOL. What? And then a lot of people agreed with CJ again. I had a couple votes. Colby had a vote. And then one person.
He's the Madonna of this group.
He's the Madonna.
Hey, long storied career. It's fine. She adapted and survived.
We got
even
one
her face
Guardians fan.
Adapted and survived.
One Guardians fan says at least the Guardians can only go up from here. That's looking at it one way.
They know what they need to work on. The Guardians.
I would argue that I don't know that they can only go up from there now that they're starting potentially Quentin Flowers. Do we have more? Do we have a true confirmation of this? I know that I have seen speculation on this. Do we have a confirmation on this?
I don't know if he's going to start, but Francois has a concussion, so he likely won't play. So you're looking at Paxton Lynch and Quentin Flowers, and there's a lot of speculation that they're going to get him involved. I still think Lynch will be your what do we call it? FSS, your first snap starter.
Your first snap starter. Now, Francois played one series, right? So they say he got a concussion.
And they were like,
series? You got some symptoms.
Maybe we should get rid of the forward pass. All right, maybe we should get rid of the forward pass. They're doing this with our kickoff, with this cockanimi XFL kickoff. Also news, the San Antonio Brahmas, they replaced Jaime Elizondo with and Hines Ward, obviously the head coach there. Got rid of Jaime Elizondo with Jimmy Johnson. I'm wondering if this is the same Jimmy Johnson who used to play tight end for the Washington Redskins, but I'm not sure. There's probably a lot of Jimmy Johnsons.
Yeah, it sounds like there's several Jimmy Johnson candidates.
I mean, is this substantial news, do you think, J Mark?
I mean, it is because they are making a change mid-season. That's always substantial. It really depends on who he decides to roll forward with his quarterback. I think that's where they're going to shake things up. I don't know if the offense is going to change that much because you're already looking at not making the playoffs. Why would you try to change the offense, make guys learn new things now? The only thing I could see is if he brings a little more up-tempo and brings in a different quarterback to start.
Well, there's still playoffs to be fought for San Antonio, I think. But you're right. It all depends on Jack Cohn and him being there or not. But who are these offensive coordinators sitting on the couch midway through the XFL season? I know Vegas.
It's like they see Hines Ward at a supermarket, and they're just like,
just watching some old highlights on Classic. Oh, I remember that guy. See if is he alive? Give him a call. See if he can come around and
Hines, you put me in charge.
Plays. Tell him we can throw two forward passes in this league.
You haven't been doing the tight end drag, Hines. I can do that. I can implement the tight end drag. Yeah, either way, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see if Cohn will actually stretch, because I don't know that was the OC's fault. Is it the OC's fault if Cohn's checking down every time?
Right. I mean, it's offensive line, and it's Jack Cohn being Jack Cohn.
Yeah. So, All right, well, let's hop into this because we got lines and we got action. Thursday night, game of the night.
Thursday night saying, fuck you, March Madness. We're bringing out the big guns. First
With
day of
the
the tournament. Who gives a shit? The real brackets is in Seattle.
This could be a
Bracket
preview.
coverage.
Yeah, this could be a preview of the X Cup. We got the Roughnecks laying 3 on the road in Seattle, over under at 41.5. Let me do a quick weather check in Seattle. It's going to be no rain. If they were playing this on the weekend, it would be raining. 53 degrees, high of 53. That might affect those little Roughneck fans that are thinking this team is going to do something here.
I was just going to say, in the Colby Power Rankings, we had the number 1 team versus 7th ranked team here.
You would think that's the way. That's what I'm saying with some of these comments. Right. This is an easy play. Sea Dragons money line. They're a better team. They put up better offensive numbers. They've been playing a gauntlet. They were used to playing good teams. Meanwhile, the Roughnecks have been playing these little FCS teams every week. I think Donuch gets it done. I feel like each week is better. Now, this is interesting here is that AJ Smith runs basically the same offense as June Jones. So both defenses should be equipped with what the offense is going to be doing. However, it's cold. It's in Seattle. And you should know the student can't fuck with the teacher. June Jones gets it done. Sea Dragons, moneyline play. I also like the under. CJ, what are you doing here?
Liking the under, huh? I saw big numbers on Bet Online. It was 3.5, 42.5, which I kind of like. You got to like Seattle at home getting points. But Houston, I mean, I know you joke about how horrible Houston is as they beat teams by 30 points a game. Seattle does have a great offense, but Houston's offense is literally number 1 in the league. They have 16 touchdowns, 11 through the air. And, they just look efficient. Yes, that has helped with Orlando, but Seattle's, 2 wins came against Las Vegas and San Antonio. That big comeback win versus Las Vegas.
Exactly.
Whatever the hell that was last week.
That's exactly my point. Is if they kept playing those teams, that's like all the teams that have been on the schedule of the Houston Roughnecks.
Yes. I'm a little afraid of how excited we were for Seattle that week 2 at home at night versus St. Louis. We all jumped on that. And then they kind of denouched the bed, if you will. And then went to St. Louis. But that might have been J. Mark, St. Louis, Coach Tony Meatballs getting his team ramped up on his way up to a playoff run. So I kind of like to say, I think this is the game we've been waiting for Seattle at night with the crowd on a Thursday night, short week. Although Houston was smart by not resting. They'll have a fully healthy Max Borgi, J. Mark's guy. Houston hasn't been in a close game yet. I think this will definitely be a close game. So I'll take the points. I'll take 3.5, whatever it is.
They got the top 2 passing quarterbacks in this league with Donuch being, 1100.
And Donuch, like the Olive Garden, everybody's family. Offense gets the ball, defense gets the ball. We all get a Donucci ball.
And Brandon Silver, second leading passer. Yeah, right on his tail.
Looks
only
great,
one less interception.
Yeah, that's true. No, I'll take the 3.5 and grab it, which I have. Yeah, he does fumble. He loves the Danucci. He's got greasy hands. What can you say? So he's Italian.
Yeah, I mean, J Mark, you going chalk here? What are you doing here?
Well, first off, shout out to the chat. Kitch says Sea Dragons money line all day. Roughnecks are in for an awakening. Right. It's just tough because I will fully admit I am a gambler with my heart, not my gut. My gut says take Houston. My gut thinks they're going to force the Nooch into turning it over too much. But my heart says the Sea Dragons are going to win this game. So I'm going to go with my heart. I'm taking the Sea Dragons here in the points.
This is the Colby redemption game. I'm actually taking Sea Dragons for Colby. I want him. And I want Houston to lose for Colby and for my DC Defenders. But And so you can come back at these fucking Facebookers and these Reddit trolls, and everyone online is trying to call you the man in the middle. First of all, I'm the man in the middle. Right.
Notice that I covered myself there, though, because if Houston wins, I'll be like, well, my gut said they were going to.
The old gut heart hedge.
What are you guys leaning under too? Because my angle on the under is that both teams practice against these offenses every day.
I like it. Well, I think it's going to be competitive too. And a lot of Houston's games have been non-competitive, and that's how they've been going over. So I think it's going to be more of what you saw last week from Seattle, of a defensive battle. And like you said, both offenses know each other. 42.5, that seems like a pretty highly adjusted number for these XFL totals.
Yeah,
I'm on the other.
You think the over, huh?
Yeah, I like the over. I think, we keep saying that this is a big game for the Sea Dragons, big game for the Roughnecks. I think they know that too. I think they're going to pull out all the stops. I think you're going to see some big plays. They're going to try to confuse the defense with a lot of motion or some trick plays. So I kind of like the over here. I think we're going to see some fireworks.
All right. So now we shift from Thursday all the way to Saturday. 2 games on Saturday. The DC Defenders are heading to the filthy place that you should never play football at, the Dome. Yeah, they call it the Dome these days. Stupid. But the Battlehawks, they've been packing it in. They've been selling out stadiums, even though there's still 20,000 unsold tickets. They're still selling out stadiums. These Battlehawk fans are calling for my head. Battlehawks are a dog at home, +2. The over-under's at 42. +110 on the money line. I know what everyone's thinking.
Yeah.
This stadium, they're a live dog. They're going to take care of business. No. Stop it. Because you know what running the ball does successfully? It not only does it bleed the clock, it takes away excitement from the crowd. All right? It makes it's a patient game that the defenders are playing. And by the way, I was looking at the numbers, or like the stats for the season. And I know J-Mark's probably just disgusted by this. Do you know who the 3rd leading rusher in the league is? Jordan Ta'amu.
Absolutely. He's my fantasy quarterback.
He's the 3rd leading rusher in the league.
He gives you everything you need in a quarterback except for touchdowns.
True.
Oh, man. But remember, he used to be a St. Louis Battlehawk. Kaka. He's returning to the scene of the crime where he was a legend, and I'm sure he was getting tons of scattered ass in St. Louis the way they support the Battlehawks back when he was there in 2020. Guys, I told you this. I tipped my hand on the previous show, the recap. I think Greg Williams will put together a good game plan to mess with AJ McCarron. McCarron turned the ball over some when they played in DC just a couple weeks ago. And, I'm sure, they're going to try to make adjustments to what Greg Williams' game plan is, but he's always making adjustments. You're not going to know what he's doing. And I think the ground game is too much. And I think the defenders go into that filthy stadium. All right. And they make a point and prove that Anthony Beck shouldn't be coaching in this extreme football league. All right. CJ, what are you doing here?
This is a tough game. Probably should be the best game, even better than Houston, Seattle. It's a revenge game. Although if you look at we've already had 2 revenge games in the XFL. Houston, Orlando, DC, Vegas, and there was no revenge. It was just more of the same. But also that could be because you were going against Vegas and Orlando, the 2 worst teams. DC definitely handled St. Louis pretty good a couple weeks ago in DC, even though the final score I think was 34-28, but it was a late score by St. Louis just to pull within 6. But this is the Dome, and it's Tony Tony Meatball. I mean, this is the Dome. This is what they've been waiting for with the whole crowd. This is the old heart gut hedge, as J Mark would get to. My my heart says DC to roll it up and let AJ McCarron's kids watch his dad lose in a game that he could have been getting paid 10 times the amount to hold a clipboard and do the same exact thing somewhere like in Jacksonville. But I think this is going to be a great. I think this is a peak moment for St. Louis. They had their opening week last week at home, second back-to-back home game. I think St. Louis will get them, and then we're going to have a great fade spot after this because this is going to be like this is where they're going to peak. Both these teams are going to make the playoffs in this division anyway. So imagine they split, and I think St. Louis edges them just because of the dirty dome, lift up the top. The whole fucking thing, and Jordan Ta'amu on the road is going to be a little. He's going to be a little shaky. Some of his old demons will come up, I believe.
The over/under is also at 42.
Yeah.
I mean,
and last game there was 60 points scored. The time these two teams played. I like the under here though too in a revenge game. That's a high number, and I think it's going to be much more competitive.
Well, let's say they don't make as many turnovers. The way DC runs the ball, I lean under in this one too. J-Mark, what are you doing here at the Dome in St. Louis?
So this morning when I was making my burrito, I went to reach for the Colby cheese, and I fuck that. I know he's going to pick against the Battlehawks. Give me the mild cheddar, just to spite it. No,
wow, personal battles for his own burrito breakfast.
What is a burrito? What is a breakfast burrito in Iowa? I'm interested to know.
Well,
what do you put in it? Corn?
Mine's very
corn.
A lot of potatoes. Yeah.
Mine's very boring, and I have it for lunch because we do intermittent fasting. But just eggs, cheese, and sprouts. Very boring.
Sprouts.
Homegrown sprouts.
All right. Homegrown
sprouts.
Right from the J-Mark garden.
Sprouts. That's right.
All right.
What worries me about this? That's right.
Yeah.
What worries me about this game is the Battlehawks allowing 105.25 rushing yards a game, and DC being such a juggernaut rushing the ball, whether it's their quarterbacks or their running backs. But CJ laid it out. You're in the Battle Dome. That thing gets loud. I know you hate dome football, but it holds that sound in. It's going to fluster Ta'amu. And I like Battlehawks to win the revenge. I put them in my power rankings above DC, and that's wrong if I think they're going to lose this game. So I have to pick the Battlehawks.
If you follow Colby's stance of power rankings. You can go 0-4 and still be top 3. You know.
Yeah, you don't
as
look
long
at
as you
record.
show. As long as you show some yardage.
Games and you think who's the best team.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I get it. It's going to be loud, but who cares? Like, they took away their advantage. If it was cold and rainy, that's what they would want. That's the best chance of beating this team. We'll see. Ta'amu's coming back. Yeah, I'm sure he tips the security there. They know him. It's going to be a little reunion, you know.
Duke's the security guard.
You
lean over or under, J-Mark?
I do like the under in this one. I think it's going to be a grinded out, slow scoring game. You're going to see all DC's quarterbacks and running backs run the ball. You're going to see a lot of Brian Hill. I think this is going to be a rushing, slower game, which I know those casual fans don't like that. I do like that. You know, good defense, run the ball. That's how I like football. I'm a Bears fan. So what do you expect?
Yeah. Amen. All right. I don't like those casual fans unless they're listening to this. Subscribe, tell a friend.
Then we love it.
I mean, I'm intrigued. Both those matchups are fire. Both those matchups are absolutely
great
fire.
matchups. We're going to make sure they're on the TVs in Vegas, right? We're going to have Green and the boys. I know you're going to have all the madness going on, but we don't mind telling Stevens at Circa to put it on the main event, maybe on the main screen Thursday night.
Yeah, definitely. We're saying, hey, we got to put the game on. All right,
or at least one of the TVs in the OTB. You know, you can toss off Aqueduct or something and throw on the goddamn Houston Seattle game.
Definitely. All right, before we get to the next game, I want to tell you folks out there that the XFL Gambling Podcast, I almost said the College Basketball Experience, the XFL Gambling Podcast is brought to you by WynnBET. WynnBET is the official online sportsbook of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and WynnBET is now active in Massachusetts and a ton of other states. Be on the lookout for WynnBET's Win Hour each Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Yeah, during WynnBET's Win Hour, marquee games of the week will have better odds on WinBet, giving you a larger payout opportunity. And March Madness is here. There's so many ways to bet on the big dance. Sign up today to receive a special offer. Bet $100, get $100. Limited to state availability, of course. But also for our G-Gens only, if you check out the biggest long shot parlay of the week, you get $1,000 free credit. There's so much to choose from. All you have to do is head over to winbet.com or download the WinBet app. Offer subject to change terms and conditions. WinBet.com must be 21 and older. Present state where WinBet is available. If you or somebody you know is a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. All right, we are back talking extreme football. Bring on those Battlehawk fans. Bring on those Roughneck fans. I cannot wait for next week's episode because I feel pretty good about my plays. I feel pretty good. Now is where I enter kind of the tricky area, I think, of picking the next two games. The Orlando Guardians, the Guardians are heading to Las Vegas to take on the Vipers. Damn if my flight doesn't leave an hour before the game, or I would go to this thing.
I was thinking about that. Yes, that's a Sunday game.
Saturday night, but I'm heading out a little early.
You want me to call in a bomb threat?
I mean, yeah, that'd be tempting, but my wife needs me back in Los Angeles. It's
Fair enough.
I'm gonna get the Cashman though. All right, I'm gonna get the Cashman Field. I just don't want to see them. They're taking on Terrell Buckley and the Guardians. Vegas, new offensive coordinator. No, I'm sorry, that was San Antonio. But Vegas does have a new offensive coordinator too. They
from
replaced
last
him
week. Yeah, they got him last week.
Vegas is laying 7.5. The over/under once again at 42. Ooh. The Guardians are plus 275 on the money line. Are you that crazy? For one, I think Vegas. I don't know. This one's tough because here's the angle here. Here's the angle for me. First off, is Brett Hundley playing or Luis Perez? I need to know who is getting the start. Right. Until otherwise, give me the Guardians plus the points.
I know it's. I hear what you're saying. I mean, and especially Orlando's got to be looking at this as this is their opportunity, to get a win, to do something, whatever, to show face. They've just been embarrassed and humiliated, so far all season. But I think it's for a reason because they're a mess. They're an absolute mess. Terrell Buckley is.
But that's a big number, man.
It's a huge number. But I will say this: I hope Perez is starting. Matter of fact, when we get to our DFS, I really hope Perez is starting. I'm focused around him because Orlando's defense is so bad. But Vegas isn't. I mean, Vegas had RC Dragons on the ropes at home. They should have won that game. They gave up that fourth down pass with a minute to go, whatever, Josh Gordon. They averaged 7 yards a play in DC last week with this new offensive coordinator. They outgained DC. They're not that bad. They are a kind of a
I think they're pretty good.
Yeah, I think they're a fine team.
I know J-Mark hates them, but I think they're pretty good, but it's just a huge number. There's the backdoor opportunity here.
It's a huge number, but I will say this. When it comes to these huge numbers in the XFL, when you see like 7.5, 8.5, you have to remember that's not always two scores. That could be one score. You can go up 9-0. You go up 8-0. So 7.5 is kind of like 6.5 in the NFL because they're always going for 2 anyway.
True.
So
true. You
could be a tight game and you still win by 8 or 9. It could be a fucking lopsided game and you only win by 3 because of the way they come back in the conversions. I just think I'm just not rush. I did it before when Orlando was getting 9 and the game was over within 5 minutes. They throw the ball backwards towards the end zone. I mean, they got 8 guys on the field. They're fucking, they're literally handing the ball to the other team. It's like they're doing like Disney movie bullshit antics. Like they're trying. And then
do you know that Paxton Lynch, had he not missed, they went with Francois, what, game 2 was it, I think, for a lot of the game, right?
Yes.
If he had stayed on the field, he would have more passing yards than AJ McCarron. He's averaging more, if you break it down, if you were to factor in that game. Now, obviously you could say, well, he got benched, but
sure. Right.
My point is that they can actually move the ball a little
Paxton
bit
Lynch
like
is somewhat competent for sure, but there's also getting these numbers because they're down by 20, 30 so fast in the game.
True.
They're just
True.
giving the ball away, and they have to be in these situations. So Vegas Saturday night, it's the hottest weekend in Vegas. You're there, Colby D. Sports Gambling Podcast Network is there, even though the flight's leaving early because the wife demands picks Dundee to be back in Long Beach. But understandable. I'm coming out there tomorrow. I want to see what the hell is going on. I think Vegas runs it up and gets their first. Because if Vegas had a win on the board, maybe I would think about back in Orlando. But since Vegas is also needs that first win, I think it's going to be a Vegas party on Saturday night.
J-Mark, what are you doing at Cashman Field? By the way, no rain, no monsoon-like winds, 69 degrees.
No towers for the announcers like the Notre Dame scout kids for filming practice. The intern freshman uncredited dying in a storm.
Oh man. Yeah.
Coach
It's
Kelly
supposed to be a nice day.
says, "Get up there."
Be a nice day. J-Mark, what are you doing?
Yeah, so Vegas defense averaging the third most passing yards a game. And I know they played Seattle, who put up 377, but they also let Drew Plitt put up 172, which is not good. And they're allowing the most rushing yards. And I know they played DC twice, but they also allowed Seattle to run the ball for 143 yards. I think this is a game that Vegas probably wins, but barely. I think they barely get out of there. So 7.5 is too much for me. I'm riding with the Guardians.
Let's fly with the Guardians, J-Mark. Let's go.
What do you guys? I love being on my Vipers.
What do you guys think on that 42? This is one where I go over.
Yeah,
agreed
for sure. This isn't over. This should be fireworks. This should be just back and forth, and who cares? You score, we'll score for you. You score for us. Kind of, both trade defensive touchdowns, trade ineptitude touchdowns, and it's
final game on the slate Sunday. The Arlington Renegades are taking on the San Antonio Brahmas at David Robinson's old stomping grounds. The Alamo Dome, filthy Alamo Dome. This is the easiest play there is. I don't care who is the offensive coordinator. All right. The Brahmas are laying 2.5. The over-under's at 35.5. Yeah, the Brahmas don't have a run game. All right. And the Renegades actually have a decent defense. Jack Cohn, the check down god, he's got a new offensive coordinator. I don't care. As long as he doesn't turn the ball over. Like, Cohn is known to not turn the ball over. That's been his thing since probably high school. Well, Arlington has Slaughter. And Slaughter is the Brett Favre of the spring leagues. All right. But the problem is that also he hasn't built a
does he embezzle money from the from the dirt poor?
We'll have to look into what was really happening in with the New Orleans Breakers last year. New Orleans known to be a crooked state. But my point is he throws a lot of reckless passes, especially when he has shitty offensive line play, and that is why this is a slam dunk. Grade A play here. The Brahmas minus 2.5. It's happening. I also lean to the over at 35.5, despite both of these offenses being complete ass. Yeah, I'm all over. This is top play of the week, I think. Brahmas minus 2.5. What are you doing here, CJ?
Well, I suggest to you, since you're so confident in the San Antonio, and I love it. I'm not going against your play. This is the first of a back-to-back. They're playing each other again next week at Arlington, which is odd. Maybe I may suggest you an open parlay, a San Antonio parlay, and let them run it back.
Shout out to XFL scheduling, who just said, "Hey, you know what? Fuck it, have them play again.
Have them play again. Sit down where they can share rides back and forth. They're driving to each other's stadiums. I mean." I don't like the new offense coordinator switch, but maybe, it worked for Vegas, I thought, for the week as far as yards-wise to shake things up. Like I said, I don't know who they're calling off the couch, who these in the bullpen. You have offensive coordinators for the XFL Cup being drawn up. Just guys that you remember that are alive. But Jack Cohn is more than its checkdowns. He was throwing behind receivers so much last week. He just looked so bad. It's just,
Look,
and Arlington
behind receivers, but not to the defense, which Slaughter was just,
fair
he
enough.
can be late.
Yeah. Fair
Cohn
enough.
can be late.
Is there any chance he'll be late? Yeah, he'll be late, but not invited. Do you think there's a possibility to go back to Plitt at all because the way he's
Sure.
looked at? Like I said, Stoops, he's the opposite of Terrell Buckley, where he's just not. He doesn't even know he's coaching this team. I don't think he's just not invested. He's just watching. He's just going, "Wow, that's some bad football, boys." Golly, he's got great sound bites. I think they just hired him just for the sound bite. I'm not even sure if he's on the field or if he's in a studio booth somewhere doing voiceovers for this.
Fourth quarter, 2 minutes left.
Yes.
They
Right.
shove a mic in his face, or he's mic'd up or something. He's like, "What time's Lone Star Steakhouse closing tonight?"
Absolutely. But I'm with
yeah.
you though. I'm going to take San Antonio minus 2.5 at home. I think it's a get right game. And I was saying before, I think Hines Ward kind of has that kind of late momentum Steeler thing kind of going where he likes to build towards something. I mean, it was a tough. They did not look good, but it was also a tough battle at Seattle at night. So I think they're more war torn. I think they're better. And this is actually as bad as both these teams are. In these back-to-back games, this is for a playoff position in that division because who's the other team in that division? Vegas. They're not going to catch them.
No, it's Orlando.
Orlando, right?
Vegas is in the north.
Vegas in the north. 3 Texases in Orlando. Gotcha.
Yeah. What a shit division or conference, whatever they're calling it. J-Mark, what do you do? Yeah, what are you doing at the Riverwalk there at the Alamo Dome?
Sometimes you got to stand by yourself to prove you can stand, I guess. I'm taking Arlington. Now, I do want to back this with if Reed Sinnott starts for the Brahmas instead of Jack Cohn, that does sway my opinion because I'm a Reed Sinnott believer. I think he should be in there. But I think
you can just take all the teams. Right?
Right. No, I think we're going to see Slaughter and Plitt. It's going to be a nice split. See what I did there? I think they're
with the Colby cheese line, the split line. I mean, I want to see J Mark's notes that he came up with from last night. This is amazing.
I just picture him having the burrito ingredients on the table, so it reminds him. He's got the sprouts, the Colby cheese just sitting there.
Like the Kaiser Sose thing, reminding him of all the things.
Well, I wrote all these while sipping my whiskey, trying what would be a good one here.
Yes.
No, I think Arlington's defense gets it done. I think both these teams are pretty shit, but I think this is where Arlington's defense shows up big time. I think they force some turnovers, and I like the under on this game a lot. I like the under, and I think Arlington gets it done. I'm taking Arlington.
He still has hope in this Arlington team. They're the worst.
I do.
They're the worst team in the league. And we'll find out when they're terrible.
I will say their defense is good though. Stoops does have a nice defense and he does make it.
They better be good. They're on the field 90% of the time. They're running 80 more plays than every other defense in the league.
And they've set up 90% of their offense too. 39 of the 50 points or whatever scored on turnovers.
Oh man!
Not to give J. Shout out to J Mark real quick for his Man in a Box T-shirt. Make sure everyone goes to the merch store and rock the Man in a Box. Here I am. Yes, I can.
There we go. That shirt is available. Get over there, SGPN. Get the SGPN app or go to store.sportsgamblingpodcast.com. Guys, I know I think we forgot to do this last week, and well, that's on me. What are we locking here? If you had to, you got all of your aunt's money that she gifted you, all right, and she needs more money for some type of surgery, and you had to place it. You had to place it on the game that you trust most. I'm sticking right there. San Antonio's going to fuck them up. I'm laying the 2.5. J-Mark, what's your lock of the week?
I really wanted to go Orlando, but I'm going to stick with my Battlehawks. I think they get it done here. So give me the Battlehawks. Lock them up.
CJ.
I'm going to go with that Orlando game, but I'm going to go the over 42. I think it's just going to be nonsense and just back and forth. You get points, we get points. We'll meet you at the end zone. Who cares? We're all scoring together. We're all scoring together in this game.
There you go. All right, so those are our locks. Now we will transition to the DFS side of things. But before we get there, I want to tell you folks out there that the XFL Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Underdog Fantasy is heating up for March Madness. College Pick'em is a great way to get in on all the action, especially if your bracket's busted after day one. Let's be honest, this happens to like 80% of the people submitting a bracket. Plus, Underdog Fantasy has your favorite college basketball player props, which is cool because some of the states that you get in, they don't let you get in on some of the player props. So head over to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code SGPN for 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code SGPN. All right. DFS guys, couldn't submit my DFS roster because I'm in the great state of Nevada, which for some reason
it's the hardest state to gamble in. It's crazy. It really is. They're constricting on bets. It's bizarre.
Yeah. So I had to take a screenshot of my lineup, which I could not submit. And unfortunately, since I'm leaving Saturday and Thursday's, game happens, I'm going to have to ask old NC Nick to my brother to submit this on his behalf. But quarterback-wise, I'm shaking things up, all right? The past 2 weeks, kind of ate shit, but the past 2 weeks. So I'm feeling like, it's time to really dig in. Quarterback wise, I'm going to a legend in the city of St. Louis, a legend in alt football. All right. And J-Mark might think, he should be in prison for life. You know what I mean? J-Mark thinks he was, he might have been in cahoots with Lee Harvey. All right. And I'm talking about Jordan Ta'amu.
Yeah.
Jordan Ta'amu. The league's third leading rusher. He's a stud. And look, he doesn't fold up like a lawn chair when there's a little bit of pressure. All right. He's going back to the scene of the crime, St. Louis, where he's a Battlehawk legend. They should have a statue of him built outside. I got Jordan Ta'amu St. Louis's defense is not fixed. It's not good. Give me Ta'amu for $9,000. What are you doing there at quarterback, CJ?
I like your call there. A little homecoming, greasing the security guards. Everyone treats him nice there, and like you said, just because he burned J-Mark 1 year in fantasy in USFL, never let him fucking and he's worse than Vladimir Putin. Anyway, we're gonna go with I love, like I was saying, my lock is the over in that Vegas Orlando game for a reason. That Orlando defense is absolutely horrendous. And hopefully he might not be the starting quarterback, but he should be the way he was throwing those beer snake balls last week. Luis Perez for Vegas, new offensive coordinator, 7 yards of play. It's pretty cheap, $8,400, which is a pretty nice price on him. Orlando is allowing 29 points a game to the quarterback position alone. I mean, granted, it was Houston twice, but so I think you have to stack up as many Vegas as you can this week at home and versus Orlando. So I'm going to go with Luis Perez. Nice cheap price at $8,400.
Gonna have to monitor the Huntley situation. Let me ask you this: are you just going to switch to Huntley if you see that news? I do have cash available, and I guess I would switch to Huntley because I went with him. Might as well since I went with him last week. But I don't see how they can go back to Huntley the way Perez looked last week. Perez looked great. Even J-Mark himself, the Brian Scott lover, admitted. We have a sound clip that said Luis Perez looked good. I mean, and that's like Joe Namath shit. J-Mark, what are you doing at the quarterback position, and are you ready to admit that Luis Perez and Jordan Ta'amu are the best two quarterbacks in the league, perhaps?
Can't believe you're changing horses midstream, something you have taught me to never do. But I'm doing the same. I'm mixing it up a little bit too. Not Ta'amu. I do have a lineup with Perez, but it wasn't my main lineup because I just don't know what they're going to do at quarterback there. If I get word that he is starting for sure, or if Huntley is out, I'll tweet that lineup out so that everybody can see, just in case it hits. But everyone
Oh, a lot of hedging on J-Mark coming around. He's got a lot of gut hedging. If this guy plays, this plays. Put out your lineup, J-Mark.
Everyone follow XFL Gambling Pod. We try to hit you with the most
Yes.
current news on Twitter.
J-Mark is on top of that.
Going to Brandon Silver. See, that was my thing. I wanted to avoid that game. I'm on the under in that game. I know you're on the over, so it makes sense for you to play them. But these two teams practice that same offense every single day in practice. So I wanted to step off that game. But talk to me about why you chose Silvers.
Yeah, he's been pretty consistent. He's got a lot of weapons, of course. And like I said, I think this is going to be a fireworks type of game, high scoring. So I want a piece of that. So, yeah, I'm going Brandon Silvers. He's expensive, $10,200.
Yeah, he looks great. I mean, he leads league in touchdowns, right? 11 touchdown passes. So,
yeah. Chalky play. Second leading passer in the league. But, hey, he's put the numbers up. But now he's going to play some actual FBS teams. Top running back. I'm going to I will go to, this is a homecoming. Max Borgi played in the great state of Washington and Pullman, friend of the program. Rest in peace, Mike Leach. Max Borgi is getting, I think he's back. Obviously, I'm going to have to monitor this because if he's out, then I'm going to have to pivot. But he is a substantial part of this offense, and he loves catching passes out of the backfield. So even though I do think the under is the play in this one, I still think he's going to get his, especially on the inside. Like he might not rush for a lot, but I could see him getting, 5, 6, 7 catches. So give me Max Borgi at 9,300. I am paying up. What are you doing at the running back? Your top running back there, CJ.
First of all, I love that Max Borgi pick, and he's not even on the injury list, the injury report this week, so he should be good to go. Back up in Pullman area, I love it. I'm going to go with my stalwart. I was going to go with J. Mark's guy, Brian Hill. I do like the way. I mean, obviously, looked at St. Louis at home, but versus that DC defender, even Kellen Ballage, even though he had a horrible bounce back because of those embarrassing. But I bypassed both of them and went with my normal horse. I'm not going to go away from is Abram Smith of DC. He's at 8,800, especially with Rockwell Armstead. I think he got hurt last week, and it didn't look good. It didn't look like he's going to play at all this week. If I was just eyeballing it, like, he needs to definitely sit down. And if he does play, he's certainly not going to be 100%. So Abram Smith, St. Louis gives up a lot of rush defense, as J. Mark said, over 100 yards a game. This is what DC does. They average 150 yards rush a game. They're the only team in the league that does run the ball, so you're going to get your reps with them. And he's their bell cow. He looks like an RB1. I take him every week, and I say the same notes every week, and I'm going to go with it. 8,800, Abram Smith.
No, I've rostered him before. He's a solid play. I actually thought about rostering him here, and I still could pivot there. J. Mark, what are you doing here at the running back spot?
Yeah, he's a little more expensive this week, but still wanted to save some money from one of those top guys. So I like both those plays. I went with Brian Hill. I said in the picks, I think this is going to be a grinded out type game. I think that's how they slow DC by staying on the field, and that's with Brian Hill. So yeah, give me Brian Hill. He's at 8,000. Colby never mind. Borgi's not on the injured reserve list or injured list. So I didn't say if he isn't, would you throw Dejun Lee in there? But he's not on, so moot point.
I am wearing a Delaware football t-shirt.
Yes.
But, yes. Shout out to the Blue Hens, but also shout out to J. Mark, because you hear this music, that means we're playing the same guy. I got Brian Hill on my squad too at 8K. Even though I think the DC defender defense will bottle him up pretty well from the rushing point of things, but I think he might get some yardage in the receiving side of it. So I am going to roster Brian Hill. He's from St. Louis. He's at home. He's back. He's probably got, a few girlfriends there that he's had relations with. So shout out to Brian Hill there. So that's my second running back. So who is your second running back there, CJ? If you have a second running back.
I do not have a second running back because like I said, I like to go with the one running back, and then the rest of the league is all receivers that like to drop the ball. So I like to go.
When Jordan Famu is your guys, digging into the stats like I was this morning, I was sitting there saying like the rushing is pathetic in this league. Right. I mean, you look at there's only 2 guys. This is week 5. This is a 10-week season. There's only 2 guys that have rushed for over 200 yards on the season.
Yeah.
Morgan Ellison and Avery Smith.
We're at the halfway point.
I mean, so it makes a lot of sense to basically use CJ's approach and maybe just load up the wideouts. I just am reluctant to.
I understand your stance too, especially when there's a St. Louis party happening with Jordan Tamu, Brian Hill, everyone from St. Louis back in St. Louis having a Nelly party. But like I said, I'm stacking receivers. I'm stacking Vegas. I went their number 1, Jeff Bedet. 9,800. He's a top receiver for them, but he's consistent. He's going to get numbers. I mean, I can make a case for all the Vegas receivers, even Martavis Bryant, Geronimo, those, even though they get nothing for some reason. But I think everyone does eat this week. But I think Jeff Bedet, number 1, is a solid number 1 receiver for 9,800.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, especially against that shaky defense. J Mark, do you have a second running back?
I don't have a second running back, so I'll give out my first receiver. I'm stacking with Brandon Silvers, and that's Jontre Kirkland. We've seen that he can't be stopped so far. He's catching touchdowns. He's throwing touchdowns. He is a playmaker, and I'm confident that he will continue to make plays. And again, what I think is going to be a big offensive output game on both sides. So I took him. He's $10,100, so I had to get a little creative after that. But I think his numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. I mean, he's been kind of killing it lately. You look at the receiving yardage. He's one of the tops in the league. I think he's currently number 4 in receiving yardage, and he's not that far behind. Besides Ja'Cory Pearson, but like Josh Gordon is number 2 at 282. Kirkland is like 29 yards behind him. So I like that play. It makes a lot of sense. We just mentioned Ja'Cory Pearson. He's $1,100. I roster this guy no matter what. You know this because even week 0, when we were sitting there saying, "Hey, let's put together a lineup for week 1," even though we don't know much. I was like, "Nah, one thing I do know is that the slot receiver in June Jones's offense will always get a ton of targets." I don't care about the price. I got to roster that every single week, even though I think this game is going to go under. Doesn't matter. When you get that many looks from a wideout, he's going to get like 10 targets minimum, I feel like. So give me Ja'Cory Pearson, even though it's $11,000. What are you doing here, CJ, and what'd you make of that play?
I love the play. I mean, like you said, he gets like 15, 20 targets. It's crazy, the slot for June Jones and Pearson. Even though you guys fading the Danucci in this game, I know you think it's going to be a grind, but he's gonna get his numbers, like you said. But do they know the system? Don't they know that since the teacher and the mentor?
They do, but he'll still get the targets because it's
no stopping.
It's all
old Packer style.
Yes.
We're running left, and there's nothing you can do about it. I love it. I continued the Vegas stack. This is my last of the Vegas passing attack. Not only does they give up 29 points a game for the quarterbacks, but they give up 30 points a game to wide receivers. Orlando does, their defense. So I went with Jeff Bedet earlier than 9,800, and then I went for much cheaper Cinque Sweeting, I think his name is, 5,300. He had 2 touchdowns last week. I just like his first name too, Cinque, Cinque, and he's their split wides. I mean, it's weird how Martavis Bryant, Geronimo do not get anything. Geronimo did have that one bomb, but for 5,300, 2 touchdowns last week, 30 points a game for them. This is a no-brainer, and this is going to be my complete. I'm all in on this Vegas passing attack this week, which famous last words.
Makes a lot of sense right now. John's Manuals in the chat says everybody eats with Danucci.
He's the Olive Garden. Everybody's family, offense, and defense. Everybody got a touchdown with Danucci.
That's quality. I need that on the soundboard. J Mark, your second receiver there.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow CJ here. I got Cinque Sweeting. I put him in my flex spot, but since we're got the same player, I'll mention him now. CJ said it. He's a cheap version, $5,300 of somebody who's getting a lot more looks. We saw him get, I think, 3 passes thrown to him in the end zone last week. He didn't convert all those, of course, but they're looking his way in the red zone. He can make big plays. And these defenses, they got to focus on these other guys. They got to focus on your Badette, your just everybody over there. Bryant, Allison, so Sweeting's the guy that's kind of slipping off the radar there, and he's going off because of it.
Yeah. I'm taking a long shot here. Long shot on this next player. So Orlando can put yards up somehow, some way.
Right.
But Lance Lenore is a guy that I thought was pretty good in the USFL. Now, he was signed, I think, a little later than normal for the XFL. But if you're telling me Paxton Lynch is still back there slinging the ball, if you're telling me there's a shot they could get blown out, which is always on the table when the Guardians are playing, then they got to throw the ball a lot. So I'm going to take a shot for $3,300 on Lance Lenore for the Orlando Guardians. He was a beast in the USFL with the Michigan Panthers a year ago. J-Mark, am I crazy for that play?
Not at all. And Paxton Lynch played on that Panthers team with him. They have that history together. And he was only picked up 2 weeks ago. His first week of play, he only had one target and get a catch. But last week, he really showed that he's kind of getting the rhythm down. They're kind of getting the playbook down. Maybe I don't even think he was on the field as much. And when he was with the Michigan Panthers, who sucked like the Guardians, he showed that he could be a fantasy asset. So I think he's going to prove that again in the XFL here. So I like that pick.
All right. There we go. CJ, what are you doing here on, what is this, your second to last player besides defense, right?
Right. We got two more players in the defense. And shout out to Kitch there in the comments. He says CJ was definitely a mob boss in a past life. And I came back to handicap XFL games. Let's see. Yeah. That's how I was a bad mob boss in the old days. Let's see here. My flex, I'm going to go with the vaunted San Antonio pass offense that we talked about before with Jack Code. But it's pretty cheap for a silver. He's at 6,600. He's definitely their alpha guy. TJ Vasher's out for them as well, so he's just going to get all the targets and all the shares like he did last week. And he's a beast. He's a tough matchups, and they got to throw to someone. And like you said, it doesn't throw to the other side, check down, whatever. But for 6,600, I think you're getting pretty good value.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
So he's a horse, that Jalen Tolliver, long neck, a lot of horse. He gallops, and he's just he looks like a drunk baby giraffe coming out of there, like the Plexico. He's just tough to man up, as I'm trying to say. Tough to get your hands on.
J-Mark, what are you doing in your final or your second to last spot?
Just real quick, I do like that play. The ultimate spring football nerd, when these guys get drafted, I watch their game tapes so I can get familiar with them. And the dude was a beast in college, and I think he's starting to blossom here
for sure.
In spring football. I went with Lucky Jackson. I wanted a little bit of that DC game, and Lucky Jackson seems to be a very reliable part of it. Got double digits fantasy points the past 2 weeks. He's only 5,400 because of my expensive stack. I had to get a little creative. He has 5 targets, 4 targets, 7 targets, 6 targets, but he's got 3 games with at least 4 catches. So I'm kind of chasing that. In the last 2 weeks, he's been over 50 yards. And they also have used him in conversion. They've had plays drawn up for him to get the conversion points, which is important in XFL. You kind of forget about that you can get 2 points very easily from your receivers from just a conversion. So, Lucky Jackson, $5,400.
He takes the same guy as me here. Same guy as my final player, Lucky Jackson. I'm trying to get lucky and take some cashola home. And Lucky Jackson's going to lead the way. So that goes back to you then, CJ, because that's my roster. All I have left is a defense. So you go with your final utility player.
DJ Dundee, cue up that music again because I'm also going Lucky Jackson for 5,400.
There we go. Lucky Jack. Everyone's getting lucky. All right.
Especially-
Everyone's
I
getting
know.
lucky.
Especially with my guy Ethan Wolf out. J Mark knows he's my favorite tight end.
What happened to Wolf?
Ethan Wolf. Was it an ankle he had back there, J Mark?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Kind of just out of nowhere. No, he's not on the reserve. He's just missed this game.
Yeah,
I don't know if
he just
he'll
missed
play
last week, and he's not ready yet this week.
Yeah.
And when they played St. Louis last couple weeks ago, 7 targets for Lucky Jackson, 4 catches for 89 yards. I mean, and he's taken over that role, just the hinge passage. You know, Jordan doesn't like to go deep downtown, but he'll do the bubble screens to him, and Lucky Jackson, like you said, can get some conversion. So I don't have to add anything more. We've all sung the praises of Lucky Jackson for this show. We all know it. So Lucky and sweet, as Kitch said, he's a budget pick. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like Kitch is on to something there. J Mark, your final roster spot besides the defense. What are you doing?
Real quick, shout out to Fortune. About time he showed up, he says, "Let's go." I can give him shit because he's my best friend. I wanted part of that Guardians game as well, and Orlando, because they do seem to sling it a lot. So I went to the guy that is kind of their most reliable target, Cody Latimer. He's only 6,000 still. I know he's a tight end, but he's the top tight end in the league as of right now, and I think he's just going to keep getting looks. He's a matchup problem out of that tight end position because he is a former wide receiver, played wide receiver for the Giants, the Broncos, and he just creates a matchup problem at tight end position. So yeah, Cody Latimer, 6,000.
And in these leagues where the quarterback plays not stellar, it's great to have a security blanket in a big old tight end there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, final spot for me, defense. I am switching it up. I take whoever Arlington's playing, and that is San Antonio. All right. Slaughter can have a pick six any play, anytime he snaps the ball. You have a decent shot at having a pick six or a strip sack. So I'm all over for 3,900. There's a value play at the Alamo Dome going on right now. CJ, what'd you do defensively?
I looked at them as well, San Antonio for 3,900. Just that game, I want either one of those two defenses, and I had enough money for Arlington at 5,000 versus Cone, so I'm just going to do that with still plenty of money spent over. Arlington's got a more proven defense with Stoops. They do a lot of pick sixes. They had Perez week 1 twice, and I like their defense, and I just hate Jack Cone now. I just can't. I know you say he doesn't give it to the other team. It's not what he does, but maybe one of those check downs pop off the hands and they get a fucking pick six. But either way, let's shovel the dirt on Jack Cone with an Arlington.
Well, fair point. You know, you keep throwing to the running backs. There's a reason why they're not wideouts. Maybe you can just bounce off the hands and go straight to the defense. CJ, what are you doing here? I mean, Jesus. J-Mark, I've been in Vegas too long. What are you doing here on the defensive side of the ball? My apologies.
It's all good.
It's the man in the box shirt. You've been looking at that, so you probably recognize him. You can't tell between the shirt and the person. I get it.
Easy mistake. Not to pat myself on the back, but through 4 weeks, I have profited. It's been just a little profit, but it's still a profit. Yes. And the past 2 weeks,
you only turn it in 600 lineups.
I'm telling you, the main lineup I give out is what I'm going off of, if it won profit or not. But regardless,
you have your gut lineup and your heart lineup. Right?
That's right. Yeah, you got to differentiate. No, the past 2 weeks I've done that by fading whoever plays, or by playing whoever plays Orlando, fading Orlando. This week that's Vegas, so $4,000. Give me Vegas to put some pressure on Orlando and create a few turnovers, because let's be honest, Paxton Lynch sucks.
I love it.
I love all three of our defensive plays. We're just looking for the shitty teams, you know, and attacking. Folks, hopefully you'll be attacking that subscribe button. All right. We want you to subscribe to the XFL Gambling Podcast, Spotify, iTunes, wherever podcasts can be found, but also over at youtube.com. Yeah. Type in XFL Gambling Podcast. You will find us. Subscribe, please. Helps us. We'll be back, Sunday or Monday? Probably Sunday night. I don't know. Depending on if the studio is open. If not, it'll be Monday to recap all of this action. This is by far what I think is the best week. Would you guys agree with that assessment?
Of games, for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was. Yeah. Best week of games. Folks, make sure you check out right now. Go over and check out the Bottom Line Bombs feed. All right. So get on over to iTunes, Spotify, subscribe to the Bottom Line Bombs. Give it up for the man in the box, CJ Sullivan, and give him a follow on Twitter at CJ Sullivan _. Also, subscribe while you're subscribing, while you're in the mood, while you're in the frenzy of subscribing. All right. Get on over. Old Fashioned Football Podcast.
4-4.
J-Mark, his wife, breaking down stuff. I mean, that's not compelling enough right there. All right. I mean, the arguments that must happen. I got to tune in myself.
I know.
So yeah, and give J-Mark a follow on Twitter at JMarkFootball. I'm on Twitter at the Colby D. Look, it's March Madness. Check out the college basketball experience, the college football experience. We're always talking football year round, and the college baseball experience. That season's even in full swing. All right, so hop on over there and check out, because my UC Carolina Pirates are about to destroy the whole college baseball scene. Also, check out the Sports Gambling Podcast. We just did an episode with Jay Billis. Yeah, talking college hoops. Go check out that episode. And happy March Madness. Happy early St. Patty's Day. And cannot wait for Thursday night's action. And by the way, you can come play DFS with us. NC Nick tweets out the invites at NC_NICK. So play DFS with us. A lot of fun. All right.
Yeah.
Until then, what? Sunday, Monday, something like that. We appreciate you. And until then, this is the XFL Gambling Podcast. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Can't be found. My celly's off, so I can't be found. I'm on a worldwide tour, touring every fucking curtain down.